Welcome to the Animus Island Podcast, a weekly podcast focusing on everything Assassin's Creed community, news and discussion. I'm one of your hosts, Aftermath1231, and with me today, as usual, is Aries.
Hello, friends.
And McCracKenway.
Hello, I am sick.
And we don't have a guest this week. Today, we will be discussing Rogue on PC, Blackbeard, and then we're going to get to a question. So let's get started. Before we get started here real quick, I'd like to mention a special thanks to Radoon and LWS Rocks for their epic music that they've allowed us to use. Last episode, you may have heard Radoon's at the very beginning, which was Travel, which can be found on his SoundCloud page, which I have linked. And LWS Rocks' song was Mafia Swing, which you can find in the description as well. And in addition to that, I'd like to thank Tarul, a moderator on the AC subreddit real quick, who has hooked us up with a very sweet logo, if I do say so myself.
Sexy.
It is glorious.
Sexy.
Sleek.
And he's continuing to help us out with the rest of our design questions as well. So special thanks to all those people. And now, let's get started with it. Assassin's Creed Rogue came out on PC, which is a very big deal because this is the first, I believe, Ubisoft Kiev PC port to not suck.
And I would agree.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people, and I watched Ubi Joker's live stream of it the other day, which it looked very sexy.
Yeah.
Very
Full
impressed with
disclosure, none of us are PC players.
We're all PS4.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're a little bit of a clique, but you know, we monitor the subreddit, we keep track of what everybody's saying. Word is it works
good.
Well. So
And
That's good.
In addition to that, it actually comes with the Tobii IX eye tracker system, which is built in, which is
saw that.
really good. I saw it working, and it appears to work better than I'd expect from a tech I haven't heard much about before.
How does that work? Could you explain it?
It just basically tracks where your eyes are looking. You calibrate it, and it after calibrating it, then it can tell which way you're looking. And so then when you look to the left side, it's going to turn the camera to the left, and when you look to the right, it's going to turn the camera to the right. So you can look around you without using a controller.
Wow.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and look to
Nice.
and it was working better than I'd expect from something like that.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. I would definitely recommend looking at that video. He did basically that first starting mission in Rogue, where you start off from
The island with
the island, and you kill a bunch of British soldiers and steal the Morrigan.
Yeah, the intro island. It's it's really good. I'm really jealous actually from all the guys on PC, and I hope at some point next gen we'll get a port that looks that sexy.
Yeah. The thing that I'm really impressed with is that Kiev has done a major turnaround because we're so used to, AC4 being passable, Unity being really bad, Watch Dogs being abysmal, but then here, Rogue comes around and is really good. So I have no idea what changed, but I'm glad that it's for the better, and I'm hoping that it continues this way. Maybe it's just a matter of having extra time to work on it, or some other factor that we don't have any knowledge of, but I'm just really glad that they were able to turn it around and do a good job this time.
Oh yeah, definitely. I haven't heard from too many people, but I think the extra weight would be worth it if that is the main factor.
Yeah, that's what it looks like for a lot of people with regards to all of the games, like Unity as well. They were like, if this had more polish, then it would have been fun for me.
Yeah.
That seems to be a pretty consistent line.
That's another discussion entirely, but is Unity done yet? Do people think that it's generally finished? Or is that still...
I've been playing it. It's much better than it was.
I mean,
Good.
It depends on I guess, what system you're playing on. I know for us PS4 people, it's been pretty awesome the whole way. Though like,
still get the occasional people that have massive issues.
yeah, it's like you'll either have some people have no serious issues. I haven't had any serious issues since
Yeah, that was me too.
launch week.
I've only fallen through the world 3 times.
I think I
Same.
fell through
exactly 3.
3 times. Yeah. Once I was in a mission with Ares here.
I remember that.
Yeah, that was fun.
And I can't tell frame rate differences personally. I can't tell too easily unless it's
No, I don't
big,
see
like
it.
30
And I'm
to
sure
60.
people will hate us for that.
I can tell. Yeah, but if it dips a little bit, like to 30 to 25 in a crowd or something,
I don't see it.
I don't see
Yeah.
that, and it doesn't
Me
really
neither.
appear to be an
No.
issue to me.
But yeah, we have had mostly great experiences. I know Ares has had a bad experience with Dead Kings, but
Yeah.
for the most part, I think it's either you have like a good experience or you have this terrible catastrophic experience.
What was the issue in Dead Kings, Ari?
Yeah, so I was playing Dead Kings. I got through the second mission, and I was about halfway through, and I got stuck, and there was a glitch, and I couldn't get to the thing that I needed to get to. So instead of restarting and going through the whole way again, I just quit and ended up binge watching House of Cards for the next 2 weeks. So that was my experience with Dead Kings.
Yeah, I got through
I'm
Dead
just
Kings.
glad that there's an increase in quality, hopefully, with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Getting back to Rogue
yeah.
on PC,
At
which
least-
was our original topic.
Yeah, it's Ubisoft has certainly made a change for the better, from what I can tell, and simple things like kicked Ubisoft Kiev into gear, and I think in general after Unity's launch they handled that very well. In the way that they, even for like season pass users, they gave out they made the Dead Kings free for everyone, and for season pass purchases they gave us basically Far Cry. For $30 cheaper,
Yeah.
which is
Still not
great.
done with that game.
Really, still haven't finished that game.
Yeah.
Same.
I'm at a point where I'm kind of trying. Like, I'd realize I don't care about most of these collectibles, so I'll just try to finish the game. But I feel like that's still a ways off.
Same.
Oh, you guys collect the collectibles as you go.
It depends on the game. With
Yeah,
Rogue, the way I played it is I actually, I don't think either of you know the story, but I was playing it, I got about halfway through, and I was raiding a French fort, and my game crashed. I restarted my PlayStation, my save file was entirely gone. So I was distraught and angry, and about 5 minutes later, I was like, you know what, screw this. I powered through, collected everything along the way, which is something I usually didn't do, and then ended up finishing it. How do you guys usually like to collect things?
With things like Black Flag, I went through, and each little settlement that I visited, I'd collect everything there.
Yeah.
And then at the end, I went into the Uncharted chests. I did a similar thing for Rogue, but not quite to the same extent. I'll just pick up everything that I could at the time, or at least could see. And then I went through and felt like 6 hours collecting everything else.
Yeah.
In Unity, I collected, basically, if I saw it on the map, in the mini-map, then I went and got it. Otherwise, I left it.
Yeah, I'm very much. I always like my my send off for a game to be like the last story mission, because last story mission sometimes
Like that.
whatever could happen,
Yeah.
It just doesn't really feel right to me doing collectibles after the story is over, I guess. So I always try to do collectibles during the story, which can lead to like days and days where I don't play the story at all, and I'm in like the middle of the game.
I really like to finish the game quickly. Well, not quickly as in like speed run the story or anything, but I like to get in the first few days done with the story, and then I can talk about it online.
Oh, yeah. I'm awful about that. It took me 3 months to finish Watch Dogs.
Oh, yeah.
I'm bad.
Well, didn't you stop playing it like just for a while?
For a couple of weeks, yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna put a damper in your progress.
Yeah.
That's actually though, because that's kind of my strategy. And Rogue has such a short story and so many collectibles. Rogue kind of burned me out on the collectibles a lot. Like, I was trying to take it slow, but I ended up right before like the last hurdle, like the last several sequence missions, which I was pretty sure were gonna, lead me directly to the end of the game. And I think I went around all the islands. It took me like 3 or 4 days, and then I finished the game. And there were more fleet missions that only unlocked after the end of the game. So,
I still haven't finished those.
oh yeah, and you don't get this fancy outfit or Altair swords until you do. So that annoyed me.
And
but
a trophy.
Oh yeah,
or achievement.
Right.
I am when it seems conceivable to me that I can get all the trophies in a game, then I generally tend to go for it in one playthrough. Well, if it's conceivable in one playthrough, I definitely do it. If it's conceivable in 2, I probably do it sometime, maybe.
Yeah, like Infamous Second Son, which basically requires 2 playthroughs.
It makes you, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've 100%ed any Infamous game.
I haven't 100%ed the Assassin's Creed game since 2. I'm this close to Rogue, but I need to finish those damn naval missions.
I've 100%ed Infamous 2 and Second Son, but the first one was just way too hard. And I've the first actually game that I ever 100%ed, I think, was Black Flag.
Really?
Yeah, and since that I've gone back and 100%ed a few others, I believe, like Brotherhood and AC2.
Brotherhood is the only Assassin's Creed game that I've not got all the trophies on because of the multiplayer trophies.
Wait, I amend my statement. I've only platinumed AC2. I've 100% at all the other games except Unity, which no way, no thanks.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's not hard.
I've
it's slow and long, but it's not hard, I guess.
I've done what I like to call 100% on Unity which is 99%, because otherwise you need to get a companion app and shit's working, and it's really...
I did that ages ago. Although right now, do you still need the companion app?
Yeah, they patched it
anything?
out. Still, it's there's the Rift missions are the main issue that are keeping me up right now, because the
those are great. I love those.
Yeah, but you have to get the bonus on every single one to count for 100%.
Oh yeah, those were like the last thing keeping me from 100%, and I didn't realize it for a while.
Oh yeah, it barely shows you that.
Yeah, and until I was just checking through missions, like para stories, seeing what I was missing, and then I was like, oh,
I love the
really? I
stories.
didn't do that? Okay, I'll just do that. Fine.
Yeah.
Still took me like 5 tries, actually.
Yeah, I've tried so many times to get the bonus on each of those, and like the medieval ones are tripping me out.
Yeah, it was the medieval battlefield that I hadn't got the bonus on. That one's really weird and annoying.
Do you guys remember when the big leak happened in the Unity dev cycle, and the screen for all of the Helix missions got leaked, and everyone's like, oh my god, we're going to get to play as Connor. And then it's a screen that shows up for 2 seconds in the intro.
Yeah. That was very interesting. Even the guy who leaked it said that you get to play in each of those, which was just a complete lie, apparently.
Yeah. It's hard to defend necessarily that decision, but I also, like, I don't know, just because, like, I think it's an interesting like way to present your story, but given the number of people that I've seen, they're like, hey, do you get to play any of those things you see at the beginning? I'm like, maybe you could have handled this better.
I agree.
So,
personally, I really, really like that they put them there. It made it feel like it was this real console that we're playing on all these different games. But
I felt
apparently I'm one of the only people that realized that straight away we weren't going to play as any of those.
Yeah. Once we got to Arno, I was pretty much like, yeah, that's not happening.
This is it. So, about the leaks, last question before we get to the discussion. Are you guys in favor or against leaks?
Horribly. I hate leaks so much. I am so against them. If you go back to those leak posts, you can see my thoughts on them very thoroughly.
McCracKenway, what do you think?
I don't particularly like... I'm not necessarily against leaks as a thing, but I'm whenever there's a leak, my first instinct is always like, this is not true, this is not real. I'm, I guess the only time I'm in favor of leaks is when like whatever company it is like, yeah, that's
That was like the victory on Ubisoft.
yeah,
Yeah,
but even like the plane guy who got probably
Black
Unity
Flag.
and Victory leaked to him.
Yeah.
Even though that like later turned out to be true, at the time it was like I was still like, this does not seem genuine. This is you guys all who are believing this are dumb. But yeah.
I'm of the mind that any way that any leaker is going to announce something, Ubisoft or the makers of the game can do it 10 times better. And
Absolutely.
an explosive, amazing trailer that gets everyone's so excited, and then instead we just get this little, and this happens. And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't like leaks. I like learning about the way Ubisoft wants us to learn about it. Like with the thing that the last year, the Rift missions, I was like, oh, okay, so that's that gone. And then with Victory, I feel really annoyed that I've learned about Victory, months ago, and now it's like, oh yeah, Victory, okay, so that's happening. I don't feel excited about it quite yet. I want Ubisoft to actually, go ahead and put something out there and be excited from them as opposed to some random guy who.
I agree that I'm not necessarily that excited for Victory like right now, but I feel like as soon as we get more official stuff, then I will be.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This week's discussion for characters is on Blackbeard, a major character in Assassin's Creed 4. This discussion will have Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag spoilers. You have been warned.
So Blackbeard, the first time we see him is when we first go to Nassau and go to the little pub. And what surprised me about Blackbeard was that he actually doesn't have that big of a beard. He's got just like a little bit of scruff. And I thought, wait, he's missing the beard. And I was surprised and slightly upset. But what I really liked about how they handled the character was that he kind of grows the beard halfway through his time in the game. And I like that because it shows that A, the character is changing a little bit, but also B, more importantly, that time is passing. You don't really get the sense that time passes a lot in Black Flag because it does take 6 years, but you don't really feel that, except for seeing things like Blackbeard growing his beard. And I thought that was a really nice touch.
Yeah, it's really nice to see, I feel, with visual character models, the character change and evolve over a time span. And I think Blackbeard's was handled really smoothly and nicely, in contrast to the way they showed Ezio getting older in Assassin's Creed 2, where he gets knocked out and then he wakes up the next scene and he's pale and he has a beard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when we're introduced to Blackbeard with a large beard, or Edward Thatch with a large beard. Didn't he say something like, "Who needs a black flag when you have a black beard?"
Why fly a black flag when a black beard will do?
That's it. I love that line. It's so great.
That's a good line.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. The next topic was, what were your thoughts on his special brand of tactics? I think a lot of people agree that I like Blackbeard because one of the things that he did really well was he used fear and theatrics to get a lot of his work done. Mm-hmm. There was a story somewhere, I don't remember where it was, that he managed to take out an entire ship just by kind of showing up. Everyone's like, oh god, it's Blackbeard, put down your weapons, we're screwed now. Mm-hmm. And I think in his quote, I won't try to do the voice because I can't really pull it off, but if you play the fool, it's only fools you persuade, but appear to be the devil and all men will submit. His use of setting his beard on fire and just appearing to be an absolute terrifying badass was really interesting, but also really well played in Black Flag, and I liked seeing that a lot.
Mm-hmm. Like, because that's actually something he did, was the fuses in his beard, the wreath of smoke around his head. It's actually really interesting because he creates this terrifying figure because he really doesn't want to use force.
Yeah.
For the most part. He likes to just scare people, and then, I mean, it's kind of like the same thing in Black Flag. You don't want to sink your ship, the ship you're boarding, you just want to take their stuff. So why murder everybody when you can just take their stuff.
I don't know about you guys, but between Vayne and Blackbeard, Vayne was way more violent and killed way more people, but I'm still more scared of Blackbeard than I am of Vayne. What do you guys...
I
Vayne went
agree.
out silly.
I feel like it'd be easier to... Well, Vayne's more of an insane type of scary.
Yeah, it's just nuts.
Like, you're not sure what he's going to do at any given point. Blackbeard's more of a break your neck if you piss him off. Kind of scary.
I'd rather be stranded on an island with Blackbeard than Vayne.
And we learned that in
yes.
Blackbeard.
Yep, definitely. Blackbeard, I think, would have been a lot nicer, a lot more level-headed.
Yeah. About the Persona, real quick thing, comment I want to highlight from one of the moderators, Toril9, was, to be honest, coming into the game, I didn't realize how much he relied on the myth he created to use against his targets, instead of having to actually kill or attack other ships. Definitely reminded me of Batman using his persona to his advantage. I love the idea of Blackbeard as a sort of Batman. What do you guys think?
That's great, actually.
Yeah, I think that's... I mean, partially because I have this silly image of, like, you playing as, like, Blackbeard in, like, Arkham Asylum and, like, jumping on people as Blackbeard from, like, gargoyles and sneaking up behind people. And
that's great.
Yeah. But, yeah, that actually really makes sense because that's even like referencing those games. That's why those games are actually so successful, is because they kind of capture that feeling where Batman instills fear in his prey, I guess, and Blackbeard is a real historical example of that. So that's
using intimidation.
He was a great character, very memorable too.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I mean he's got several, I think, really interesting quotes just from the game. I don't think he has any interesting quotes from history because...
No, I don't think so. I don't think anyone followed him around with a pen and paper.
Nobody was doing that.
Let's see, what are his quotes? He's got, appear to be the fool, the one about the pariahs of Charlestown, no, that was the same one. What was the one where he was shouting at Stede Bonnet? I'll do better by using your organs for chum and your bones for chard. Stede's like, oh god.
Bones for char. Yeah.
And then there's, of course, in a world without gold, we might have been heroes. I really like that quote.
That's like, I think that may rival the and may it never change us quote from AC2 in terms of being iconic at this point. I have a bunch of like wallpapers I use for my phone from various games, and I kind of change it to whatever game I'm playing at the moment. And I have one that was a piece of fan art that went on the AC subreddit a while ago. That's he did it styled with quotes from each of the games, but for the Black Flag one, it's in a world without gold, we might have been heroes. And actually, if you think about that, that's kind of pretty applicable to the plot of Black Flag itself.
Yep.
And Edward's journey from being this, well, I want to say like kind of selfish, greedy man to this more heroic figure and reformed guy. Though at the same
I was
time,
actually thinking about that at lunch, and I think we may be on about is Blackbeard's death was a huge role in Edward's change from being brash and thinking the Creed is an excuse to do whatever you want to realizing that the Creed commands you to be a smart and noble person. And the whole, in a world without gold, we might have been heroes. The way that Edward sees the Creed at the end is the Creed commands him to be a hero in a world even with gold. And that is the huge change that he ends up going through at the end. That's what I think, at least. What do you guys think?
I completely agree.
Yeah, I guess that kind of reminds me of a slight... I mean, it's not immediately related, but they talk about... This is actually in the deleted scenes for Up. Not the deleted scenes, but like behind the scenes for the movie Up. They talk about...
and then Blackbeard shows up, and...
Well, no, they talk about the villain Charles Muntz being kind of a reflection of a quality of the main character, and for the main character to grow Charles Muntz has to die. And I guess with what you said, for Edward to grow in that sense, I guess, even though Blackbeard, historically died, but for Edward's character to grow,
Yeah.
I guess Blackbeard had to die.
Yeah, this is another discussion, but I agree with you entirely. Edward would not be the man he was at the end if all of his friends didn't get killed at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That kind of... Yeah. It's kind of sad, fate-wise, that, like, all his friends died and he reformed, and he was good, and then he got a letter, and it's like, well, your wife is also dead. Like,
yeah.
Man, I just
Sorry.
like the hang of this. No.
But now he has a daughter.
Yeah, and
Yes.
the whole discussion with Edward and his wife, I think, and Edward's family is an entirely separate discussion that is really, I think, has a lot of nuance to it.
Aftermath, what do you think about Blackbeard's retirement? He was the only pirate who ended up actually leaving instead of either dying a pirate or turning sides like Hornigold and becoming a hunter.
I think the fact that he retired and died the same day, at least in the game, was...
Oops.
it actually made the death so much worse because he was trying to get out of the game.
Yeah. It's like a cop with one day before retirement, except he's already retired.
Yeah, it was it was bad. I was not happy to see that happen.
I agree that the fact that he was retiring makes it worse.
Yeah, I thought it was very interesting. I like that idea of him, that he had realized that to quit while he was ahead.
Or behind, because Nassau had already fallen.
Yeah.
He's like, Nassau's done, I'm out.
Yeah, but if anything, he was just going to lose more money and stuff like that if he kept it going, because he wasn't exactly in the best shape. Like, yeah, just like you said, with Nassau fallen and things like that. He wasn't in the best shape financially wise, and so he should probably stop soon. Otherwise, it's very unlikely that he's going to make more money with all of his money that he pumped into Nassau going to waste now. And so I really like that part about him. And I thought that was...
the thing about Nassau is he really cared to the point where he went through all the effort to do the siege of Charlestown because his guys were sick with syphilis, admittedly, but he really did care about this thing, this experiment in democracy and freedom he was working on. And I really respect him for that, because he recognized that it had failed and he left, but he, while it was alive, was really pushing it.
Yeah, I think that even changed Ed in a way. That, Kenway. That he said that you don't have to be incredibly rich to get out of the game. You don't have to be the richest man alive to go back to England and live like a king and own nearly all of Wales.
Yeah.
You don't...
Yeah.
That's not necessary. You can just have enough money to... You don't need the big score. You don't need the observatory.
Yep.
You just need enough money so that you can find a nice house and settle down for a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed.
Actually, the interesting thing, because we're talking about Blackbeard's retirement and death, the party that you end up at just before Blackbeard's death actually happened, and that was the reason why the ships came, because word of it reaches the governor of Pennsylvania, and he kind of makes a pass, and he sends like sloops, so they're not very successful, but that draws in, when the sloops fail, that draws in the military because it's a bigger deal then.
Our question this week comes from Joseph Joestar and Scaro, who are asking about an RSS feed and iTunes, if we're coming to either of those. For those who don't know, an RSS feed is basically a server setup that will constantly put up like a new episode of the podcast, new video, new content, and then your browser will then notify you when that's updated, so the user themselves do not have to constantly check it. And iTunes and other podcasting software and providers tap into this RSS feed that you set up. So currently, we're looking into it, but we currently do not have something like that set up to go to podcast providers and iTunes and things like that because of the RSS feed. And that's a little difficult to set up. So if actually anyone who knows how to and could help us out with that would like to contact us, that would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, we're just winging it here.
Until then, we're going to stay on YouTube. I will continue to look into this, and we might expand to other things in time. Well, I think that wraps up this episode for the week. Thanks for joining us. Special thanks to subreddit users Radoon and LWS Rocks for allowing us to use their music, which can be found in the description, along with timestamps for everything we discussed. As usual, you can reach us on the Assassin's Creed subreddit, which is assassinscreed.reddit.com or reddit.com/r/Assassin's Creed, as well as on Twitter and through our email, animusislandpodcast@gmail.com. Next week, we will be joined by The Hidden Blade to discuss his long history on the subreddit as an active contributor and his YouTube videos. If you want to be a guest, then you can contact us on any of the ways listed. Once again, thanks for joining us and have a good night.